Now that was very odd. The audio cut out on the last video I did, and I'm really happy I didn't do all these in one big video. I would have been pissed. I probably would have gave up on life. So we're going to do this again, and what I'm going to do is just go through my master bus. And what I did, basically I automated the EQ, and what that does is that kind of adds tension. It clears out the bottom end during, kind of important parts, really, and generally it does that, and it clears out some of the low end when you need it cleared out, which you do when there's like a buildup going on, so you don't get all that muddy low end reverb stuff. Yeah, and then I have some ping pong delay for also the same reason, for tension and to kind of give a contrast between the build up, the breakdown, and the main parts, which is fun. Same for the reverb, which is also fun. So we get down to mastering, quote unquote, mastering the track. I have a basic kind of glue compressor that levels it out, and you want the needle to kind of move, but not move too much. I always think that you kind of want the needle to dance to the music, if that makes any sense, and it smooths it out, and you need a few stages of smoothing out and creamifying your mix. So what we'll do, we'll have that, and then what I did was I added, I'll just go through all of them again, my process, mastering process. So the glue comp, what that does is that kind of, it brings it together and turns it into one sound. The goal in your master bus is to make every sound like they're one sound, but when you're mixing, you kind of want each sound to be separate. So you want the glue, you want your compressor, and all compressors really, to kind of clean up the dynamic range, not so much squish it. You can use it to an extreme, but clean it up and mash the track together in a way. So what the glue is doing is it's kind of cleaning up the peaks slightly. You could barely hear it, but it's necessary, I believe, and it goes a long way in the long run. So here we have our C6, and I'll do before and after pretty quickly. And what that does is it takes each kind of frequency and plops a compressor on it. It's called multi-band compression. What that does is it cleans up each band, and we'll hear it now. And this line here shows you the release of each kind of band. So what I want to do is I wanted to boost the bass, but reduce the dynamic range of it, so I could boost it even higher. So you get kind of a boomy, but not too muddy kind of bass with this. See, that's like, you can hear it, it's muddy, but you bring the threshold, and it sounds good in comparison. And you have your second one, and this kind of cleans up the kick, and you can hear it. Yeah. Second one, obviously, is the third band, for those keeping count. This is where you need a lot more attention. What it's doing is it's cleaning everything up. There's no automatic makeup, but it's making it cleaner, especially on the high end. So all together. Right, so you bypass all of them. I'll go into more detail. You bypass all of them, and you're like, yeah, sounds okay. But there's a lot going on. So what I do is I usually start with the low end, and you see what I do with the low end here. And I'll do that to kind of boost the bass, but clean up the dynamic range. So it's pretty quick and it's easy too. So one more bass. The click and the mid bass parts need to be tamed, so I did that. And then the high end. This really works well on a high-end material. So, and then the crispy high ends. And what that's doing is that's smoothing everything out in kind of a positive way, and I'm a big fan of it. Yeah, it's basically C6 in action on what I did, when my kind of thought process was with that. So you have a compressor and then 4 compressors to tame it, and it's all about taming. And then you take your fab filter, your corrective EQ. So what this does is this. It brings the commercial aspect back out. And yeah, I'm just making sure I was still recording. I don't want that to happen again. And what I did is you low pass, or you high pass, you roll off the low end. And what that does is it cleans up any muddiness you'll hear. And there it is. And then what I do is I always kind of smooth out this part. And you can hear that. Yeah, and that kind of got rid of any muddiness. You can hear it. This is the same thing I do with my kicks. It kind of cleans up this part. The flammy kind of kick thing. And this right here is the talk of the kick. I always take that out. Or I smooth it out. And then I raise, I call this air. I raise I enhance. And I shift the air over. If that makes any sense. And what that does, when you boost something on the high end, you kind of have to take something out close by, because it's a weird thing with audio. If you change one thing on a spectrum, you gotta change something else. It's all like a teeter-totter. It's like a equilibrium. You gotta have that harmony, or else it just sounds unnatural. And this right here, I just, slight roll off, and it cleaned it up. And that's basically the EQ. It's a different thing for each thing, but I'll get into that at the end. I got my linear phase roll off. This is just a kind of a security blanket to keep everything, the volume and acceptable, well, the low end, so you don't get any like rumble or whatever. And it's just kind of clears up the low end, and you should generally put it after all your processing. So you have that, and that right now, and the track right now sounds good. And the maximizer is just to bring it up to commercial level. If I could turn it on. So, a Master Bus, it's different each time, and it's a real challenge, and it's kind of frustrating. But what you have to do with the ears, with your ears, is take everything. Well, in the mix, when you're mixing, you want everything to have its own space, and basically all you want is to have everything have its own space. So, right, you want things to be kind of loud and controlled, and then you have to know to get to that part. You have to know, you basically have to know to get to that part, and you go, okay, now let's clean up the dynamics and let's make it sound like a track. That's like the challenging part, because you could sit in the mix down and play with EQs and effects all day, but you won't get as good as the mastering aspect of it. But the trick is to know when to get there. So you'd want to, first off, in my opinion, tame it slightly, just to kind of get a feel. This kind of normalizes it, but not quite. It kind of normalizes the dynamic range, and cleans it up, so you don't run into any problems later. And then you go, okay, well, let's get some multiband dynamics processing in there. Let's get that going until it sounds right, and then you're gonna wanna, okay. So we took out a lot, but now we have the room to enhance it and to make it sound cool. So then you drop in a high quality equalizer to bring it back out and to roll everything off and make everything sound happy and all that fun stuff. You go, okay, and then you add whatever you want, preferably this, to tame the low end, which you can hear, but it helps, right? And you go, okay, so I've done all that dynamic range, and inevitably I've lowered the volume, and people could do a lot of dynamic range control and lower the perceived volume so much that they squish it later, but with little bits of I like the glue a lot, and it brings out the kick later. So like without the C6, it just sounds like a natural and too loud, and it doesn't sound like it's happy. And the trick is to make it happy, and that's it. So my second time going through it, and I think I've said a bit more. If you want this service, email me. I could do it for you, and it's fun, and it'll make your track sound cool. And if you think it sounds like crap, then don't listen to it. Yeah, one guy got mad at me. He said you should never put anything on the master bus, and I just wanted to give him a hug and say, where did you hear that from? Seriously. Anyway, that's it for now. Hopefully this one worked. If it didn't, I'm gonna be angry. But yeah, take care.